I had a cable show for a while that the city of West Hollywood produced, I should say, for 18 years. And it was about gay and lesbian people and issues. And it was called Get Used to It, which was from one of our chants when we were protesting. Be like, we're here, we're queer, get used to it. So we called it Get Used to It. And I did, I did a show a month for 18 years. And because it was on the city channel, they asked other city channels in other cities if they wanted to carry it. And a lot of cities did carry it, including Washington, D.C., when it was on like at 3 in the morning. So I go back for this hate crimes gathering and youth that the president put on, and we have kind of a breakfast with Clinton, and we stand in line, you know, to meet him and shake his hand. And so I went to shake his hand, and they started to say my name, and he said, well, I know who you are. I watch your show all the time. I said, you mean Dobie Gillis? He said, no, that other one. He was watching at 3 in the morning. Well, it was a very interesting show, and I interviewed people, some of whom aren't even with us because of the AIDS epidemic anymore. And that, we're trying to get all of those digitalized and into a library, so maybe we'll talk to you about that too. What the heck?
So was that a one-on-one interview show?
It was one-on-one or one-on-3. It was completely up to me. And sometimes I would do an issue like mental health, how the mental health establishment is treating LGBT people, when I would have, you know, 3 people. It was really not a very interesting show visually. It was a talk show and all we did was talk. But for the history of the movement in the last 20 years, going from we don't have any rights and we're afraid to ask for anything to what we just got, it's quite a remarkable oral history in its own way. And I did interview one-on-one virtually everyone that I thought anyone would be interested in, primarily Californians, but all of the first 4 LGBT people elected to the legislature in California were all lesbians, all women. And so I have each of them on tape, and then the boys when they were elected, and just leaders of various aspects of the community in terms of, you know, on mental health or children or foster children, or, I mean, 18 years is a long time to do 12 times 18 shows. There's one interviewee that stands out for me head and shoulders above the rest, and that's Paul Manette. Paul Manette, a poet, a writer, an incredible thinker, was dying when I did the show with him. And we talked about art and death. Thinking about death and how it might inform your art. How his poetry was different once he knew he was dying. I think it's, I mean, I'm not saying I was so extraordinary, but to have that really on tape, it was an extraordinary show. And you know, interviewing some of the people who had served in the military who were kicked out once they were Greta Kammermeyer, who was a colonel in the Air Force, and when she admitted even under Don't Ask, Don't Tell that she was gay, she was kicked out, a colonel. And the military shows were very memorable for me. We did a couple of shows with transgender youth, and that was amazing to me because I'm not part of that minority. And I felt I'm standing on the shoulders of so many people who allowed me to come out. I want them to be able to stand on my shoulders. And they're poignant. They don't feel sorry for themselves, but it's poignant. So there were a number of really moving shows for me. I loved doing that show because I could wake up in the morning and decide what I wanted to do, and it was fine. They didn't care.